The hum of the Boeing 737 was a deceptive lullaby, a mechanical promise of progress slicing through the clouds at 35,000 feet. For Dr. Marcus Carter, a pediatric rheumatologist from Chicago, the sound was a fragile tether to normalcy. He sat in first class, his eyes fixed on his 16-year-old daughter, Lena, who gazed out the window at the endless quilt of Midwest farmland below. Her braids framed a face that held a quiet strength, but Marcus saw the faint tremor in her hands, the subtle pallor beneath her warm brown skin. She was a warrior, battling a rare autoimmune disease that had nearly stolen her future. This flight to San Francisco was more than a trip, it was a pilgrimage to a dream she'd fought for. Lena was headed to UC Berkeley, where a provisional scholarship awaited her, a testament to years of studying through pain, tutoring in hospital rooms, and exams taken in a fog of medication. Her condition, juvenile dermatomyositis, was a relentless foe, causing muscle inflammation and weakness that had once robbed her of the ability to walk or write. A cutting-edge biologic therapy, which Marcus had helped develop as a consultant, had given her a fragile victory. The medicine, housed in a small insulated pouch in her carry-on, was her lifeline for pre-filled syringes of a custom protein solution that had to stay cool. If it warmed, the proteins would denature, rendering it useless. Replacing it wasn't a matter of a pharmacy visit. It required a specialized lab, days of preparation, and a cost that could buy a car. Marcus had checked the pouch 3 times that morning, ensuring the gel packs were cold, the doctor's letter, prescription, and TSA notification card neatly tucked in a plastic sleeve. He was a man who left nothing to chance, especially not his daughter's life. "You okay, sweetheart?" he murmured, his voice low to avoid waking his wife, Evelyn, who dozed in the aisle seat. Lena turned, her eyes bright with a mix of nerves and excitement. "More than okay, Dad. What if I get to meet Dr. Larson? Her work on quantum mechanics inspired my thesis." Marcus's heart swelled. This was the Lena he fought for, not the patient, but the scholar with a mind as sharp as her spirit. The moment was shattered by the clatter of the beverage cart and a voice like a whip. "Carry-ons need to be fully under the seat, sir." Not halfway. Marcus glanced up. A flight attendant with a tight blonde bun and a name tag reading Karen Miller was addressing a man across the aisle. Her smile was a thin veneer, her eyes cold and assessing. There was an edge to her, a simmering impatience that seemed to color every move. Marcus nudged Lena's bag further under the seat, though it was already out of the way. He was a man who avoided conflict, but his clinical eye caught Karen's micro-expressions, dismissive glance at a Latino family, the exaggerated patience with an elderly black woman. It was subtle, but it put him on edge. An hour into the flight, Lena's joints began to ache, a warning sign of her body's rebellion. "Dad," she whispered, "I think I need my dose early." "Maybe the altitude," Marcus nodded, keeping his voice calm. "We'll do it after the cart passes." As the beverage service reached their row, he caught Karen's eye. "Excuse me, could we get a cup of water? My daughter needs to take her medication." Karen's expression soured, her eyes flicking from Marcus to Lena, then to the bag at Lena's feet. "All passengers are served in turn," she said. Her tone clipped. Marcus persisted, his voice polite but firm. "It's time sensitive. We'd appreciate it." With a theatrical sigh, Karen poured a cup, sloshing water onto the tray as she handed it over. "There." Marcus ignored the rudeness, helping Lena retrieve the insulated pouch from her carry-on. It was discreet, no bigger than a novel. As Lena's trembling fingers worked the zipper, Karen, now 1 row down, spun back. "What is that?" she demanded, her voice sharp enough to silence nearby conversations. Lena flinched, startled. "It's my medicine." Karen stepped into their row, blocking the aisle. "Let me see it." It was an order, not a request. Marcus felt a switch flip inside him, the calm doctor giving way to a fierce protector. "That won't be necessary," he said, his voice low but unyielding. "It's temperature-controlled medication. I have all the documentation, if you'd like to see it." Karen ignored him, her focus on Lena, who clutched the pouch like a shield. "Ma'am, I need to inspect that bag," she insisted, her voice rising. "We have strict policies about liquids and unknown substances." Marcus's patience frayed. "It was cleared by TSA. It's a medical necessity. You're not authorized to inspect it." Karen's eyes narrowed, her face flushing. "If you don't cooperate, I'll involve the captain. I'm responsible for this flight's safety." Before Marcus could respond, Karen lunged, snatching the pouch from Lena's hands. "Hey," Lena cried, her voice breaking with shock. "I'll be taking this," Karen said, holding the pouch like a trophy. "We'll see what the captain says." She marched toward the galley, leaving a stunned silence in her wake. Marcus, Evelyn, and Lena sat frozen, the violation hanging heavy. The hum of the engines felt menacing now, a reminder of their isolation in the sky. Evelyn, now awake, whispered, "Marcus, what just happened?" Lena's voice cracked. She took it. Rage surged through Marcus, but he knew losing his temper would play into Karen's narrative. He unbuckled his seatbelt. "Stay here," he told his family. "I'm getting it back." As he stood, the man across the aisle, a middle-aged white man named Tom Reynolds, touched his arm. "Be careful. She's on a power trip." "I saw everything. She was out of line." Marcus nodded, grateful, and strode toward the galley, every step a battle against the urge to shout. He was acutely aware of the eyes on him, a tall black man moving with purpose toward the cockpit. He paused at the curtain, took a breath, and pushed it aside. In the galley, Karen was speaking animatedly to the lead flight attendant, Diane, holding the pouch like evidence. "They refused to show me." He got aggressive. "Look at this, no labels. It could be drugs." Diane, her face tired, frowned, but before she could respond, Karen moved toward the waste chute. Marcus's heart stopped. "No," he shouted, lunging forward, but it was too late. With a contemptuous flick, Karen dropped the pouch into the chute. A faint clink echoed as it fell away, gone forever. Marcus's world tilted. That wasn't just a budget, was $20,000 of irreplaceable medicine, Lena's mobility, her dream. Karen turned, smug. "It's disposed of per FAA protocol for hazardous substances." Marcus stared, a chilling calm settling over him. "What have you done?" he whispered, his voice carrying a storm's weight. Diane looked horrified, her eyes darting between Marcus's ashen face and Karen's defiance. "Karen, you threw it out." Karen's certainty wavered. "I followed procedure." Marcus's voice grew stronger. "You followed nothing. You acted on prejudice. That was my daughter's medication for a rare autoimmune disease. Without it, she relapsed within 48 hours. Severe pain, muscle weakness, maybe a wheelchair. You didn't dispose of a substance. You disposed of her future." He pulled out his phone, displaying the doctor's letter, prescription, and TSA card. "This is what you threw away. I'm Dr. Marcus Carter, a rheumatologist at Northwestern. I consulted on that drug's trials. I know the protocols better than you know your safety speech. You saw a black family, a bag, and wrote a story in your head. You chose to act on that story instead of your training." Diane's face paled as she scanned the documents. Karen's smugness crumbled, replaced by defensive fear. "He didn't show me that. He was aggressive," Marcus roared, his control snapping. "I offered the documents. You weren't interested in facts. I wanted to play judge and jury over a child." He turned to Diane. "I need the captain. Now. And you need to retrieve that bag." Diane wrung her hands. "We can't. The chute is external. It's gone." The finality hit Marcus like a physical blow. He leaned against the wall, the plane's vibrations mocking his powerlessness. But in that moment, a resolve formed, sharp and unyielding. They thought this was over. They were wrong. "Okay," he said, his voice heavy with threat. "You can't get it back, but you're landing this plane." Diane shook her head. "We can't divert." Marcus's voice dropped to a deadly calm. "You've created a medical emergency. I'm holding you accountable. Get your captain." He returned to Lena, who was crying silently, her face buried in Evelyn's shoulder. "It's going to be okay," he lied, squeezing her hand. "Daddy's fixing this." But as he stared out the window, he knew this wasn't about medicine anymore. It was about justice. Minutes later, Diane appeared with Captain James Thornton, a square-jawed man with 4 gold stripes and a weary expression. "Dr. Carter," he began, his tone placating. "There's been a misunderstanding." Marcus's anger fled. "No misunderstanding. Your flight attendant illegally confiscated my daughter's medication, ignored documentation, and destroyed it. That's deliberate negligence, endangering a child." Thornton's impatience showed. "I'm sorry, but the item's gone. We're 2 hours from San Francisco. You can get a prescription there." Evelyn, silent until now, spoke, her voice trembling with fury. "You don't understand. This isn't Tylenol. It's custom-made in a Chicago lab. It takes a week to prepare, costs thousands per dose. No pharmacy in California has it." Thornton crossed his arms. "What do you want me to do? Turn around. We don't have the fuel. Diverting requires a clear danger. Your daughter's stable now." Marcus stared, a cold realization dawning. They didn't care. Lena was a problem to manage, not a person. He'd tried their ruthless politeness, evidence, and been met with dismissal. Fine. He'd play his game. "Captain Thornton," he said, his voice a low, authoritative whisper, "you have 2 options. 1. Declare a medical situation and divert to the nearest major airport. 2. As Lena's physician and guardian, declare her unfit to fly due to your crew's actions. I'm notifying you that you're knowingly transporting a passenger toward a preventable medical crisis. If you continue, I'll ensure the FAA, and every regulatory body knows you and Sky High Airlines chose to endanger a child. I'll make this the defining moment of your career." Thornton's jaw tightened. This was no longer a complaint, it was a legal threat wrapped in regulation. Before he could respond, a young woman in seat 16C, Sarah Nguyen, held up her phone. "Just so you know, Captain, I've been live streaming this for 5 minutes. About 90,000 people are watching." The words landed like a grenade. Thornton's face drained of color. Sarah, with purple-streaked hair and a calm demeanor, continued, "It's not a recording, it's live. The comments aren't kind." Marcus felt a surge of leverage. The private battle had gone viral, exposing Sky High's indifference to a massive audience. "Turn that off," Thornton snapped. Sarah smiled. "FAA rules prohibit interfering with crew duties, but there's no law against recording in a public cabin. California's a one-party consent state. I'd argue this qualifies." Thornton was speechless, trapped by a vlogger who knew her rights. Marcus pressed his advantage. "The live stream's irrelevant, Captain. You've been notified of a medical emergency. Continuing is willful negligence. What's your decision?" Thornton stared, the weight of his stripes heavy. He was no longer in command, was on a ledge. Finally, he turned to Diane. "Contact dispatch. We're diverting to Denver." Relief washed over Marcus, but it wasn't victory. Evelyn gripped his arm, her breath shaky. Thornton shot him a venomous look. "Security and paramedics will meet us. There'll be an inquiry." Marcus nodded. "I welcome it. Have your union rep ready." As Thornton announced the diversion over the PA, groans rippled through the cabin. Passengers pulled out phones, rearranging plans. For the Carters, it was salvation. But a new issue emerged. A young flight attendant approached, flustered. "Dr. Carter, due to our delayed departure and this diversion, the crew will time out in Denver. The flight won't continue to San Francisco tonight." Marcus nodded. Sky High's failures had grounded the entire flight. Tom Reynolds, the man across the aisle, whistled. That flight attendant picked the wrong guy. Sarah, still streaming, flipped her camera. "You're watching corporate negligence in real time." A flight attendant threw away a black teen's medication. Her father forced a diversion, and now the flight's cancelled. This is what happens when prejudice meets a system that backs it. As the plane descended, Marcus looked at Lena, her eyes a mix of awe and fear. He'd moved the immovable, but the war was just beginning. The wheels hit Denver's tarmac with a jolt, and tension blanketed the cabin. Passengers' frustration turned to anger, their plans shattered. For the Carters, The ordeal was far from over. Lena's pallor was more pronounced, her fatigue deepening. The clock was ticking. Thornton's voice crackled over the PA, cold and formal. For the family in row 14, remain seated. Paramedics and officials were bored. Others, deplaying orderly. It was a deliberate isolation, painting them as the problem. Angry glares and mutters followed. Thanks for ruining my trip. One man snapped. Should have taken your pills at home, a woman hissed. Marcus shielded Lena, Evelyn's hand tight on his. Then, Sarah paused by their row. I'm staying. The world needs to see how they treat you on the ground. Tom Reynolds stopped too. I gave a statement to Diane. You were calm. She was the aggressor. I'm a lawyer. Call me if you need help, no charge. Marcus took his card, his voice thick. Thank you. Once the cabin cleared, paramedics, security, and an airport manager boarded, followed by Karen, her face pale but defiant. The lead paramedic, Emily, knelt by Lena. Hi, I hear you're not feeling great. Can you tell me what's happening? As Evelyn and Lena spoke, Marcus faced the officials. The manager, Greg Larson, began with corporate formality. Dr. Carter, this is serious a diversion. A grounding. 200 displaced passengers. We have a report of a passenger disturbance. Marcus's eyes went cold. The only disturbance was your employee, Karen Miller. She racially profiled my daughter, made baseless accusations, and destroyed $20,000 of life-saving medication. The diversion is the consequence of her actions. Karen stepped forward, her voice shaky. He threatened me. They had a suspicious package. Marcus held up Tom's card. A witness, a lawyer, says we were calm. There's a live stream with 100,000 viewers that backs me. Stop lying, Miss Miller. Larson and the security officers exchanged panicked looks. The live stream changed everything. We're on a global stage. Larson's tone shifted to damage control. Our priority is your daughter's well-being. Marcus cut him off. That should have been your priority 3 hours ago. Now, you'll provide private medical transport to the University of Colorado Hospital. You'll book us a suite near the hospital and cover all medical bills. That's the minimum. Larson stammered, but Marcus was unyielding. You're in uncharted territory. Make the arrangements. Defeated. Larson nodded, typing furiously. Emily stood. Lena's stable, but her blood pressure's up. Heart rate's fast. She needs immediate evaluation. As paramedics prepared to move Lena, Marcus faced Karen one last time. She stood isolated, her career unraveling. I have a daughter, she whispered. She had drug issues. I saw the bag and thought Marcus's empathy flickered, then died. Your trauma isn't my daughter's burden. You saw a black family and assumed the worst. You didn't ask, verify, or de-escalate. You accused and destroyed. Whatever happens now, you've earned it. He turned to Lena, now in a transport chair, Evelyn beside her. At the terminal, a crowd greeted them, airport staff, passengers, even a news crew alerted by Sarah's stream. They didn't see a disruption, they saw a victim. Applause started, soft at first, then swelling. Marcus's eyes welled. He'd felt alone against Sky High's power. But the truth, amplified by thousands, had broken through. 6 months later, Chicago's winter winds howled. But for the Carters, a new chapter had begun. Sarah's viral stream had ignited a firestorm, picked up by national news. Sky High, trapped in a PR nightmare, capitulated. They flew in Lena's medication within 36 hours, covered all expenses, and their CEO issued a public apology. Lena stabilized in Denver, her relapse averted. Barclay not only held her scholarship, but offered a research position with Dr. Larson. She became a symbol of resilience. But Marcus wasn't satisfied with apologies. With Tom Reynolds and a team of civil rights lawyers, he and Evelyn sued Sky High, seeking not just damages, but systemic change. Karen's deposition was damning. Under questioning, her story collapsed. She admitted her actions stemmed from personal trauma, her daughter's drug addiction and bias. Her searches for teen drug smuggling and time on addiction forums were exposed. She hadn't followed protocol. She'd followed prejudice. Sky High settled for a historic sum, But the real victory was the Lena Carter Protocol, a mandatory training program on disability awareness, medical device handling, de-escalation, and bias recognition. Marcus was hired to design it. Karen lost her job, pension, and reputation, dubbed Airplane Karen online. Her downfall was a cautionary tale. But the Carters' legacy was restorative. They founded the Lena's Light Foundation, aiding families with rare autoimmune diseases. The story, born of cruelty, ended in hope. One family, armed with truth and will, had reshaped a system. This wasn't just a drama, it was a lesson in accountability. One person's prejudice, backed by a silent system, can cause havoc, but one family's fight can dismantle it. Karma wasn't just Karen's fall. It was the change ensuring no other Lena would suffer. What do you think? Share your thoughts in the comments, especially on injustice and confronting bias in everyday life. Where do you stand? Your voice matters.